What is up, guys? My name is Jason Ankin and this is my vlog channel. So I decided to do a vlog in which I'm driving. So yeah, what's up, guys? So yes, I basically realized I'm on my way back from Jiu-Jitsu training, and I figured it takes me about 40 minutes to get to class. So I figured it would be a good idea to actually do a vlog while I'm driving. I was going to do it on the way out here, but I couldn't get my stand to go up, so I decided to do it on the way back. So yeah, what I was thinking about is the other day when I was driving to Jiu-Jitsu, I basically was going through my head on my martial arts history, and basically where I began with martial arts and how my sort of martial arts ability has actually evolved. So basically that's what the topic of the video is going to really be about. It's going to be about my martial arts career slash history, from when I was young right up until now, basically. So when I was a child, I was very physically active, almost, it's a hyperactive, just always on my feet, always outdoors, love being outdoors, spent probably 5-6 hours outdoors all the time. And from this year, I learned a lot about my body, what I was really good at, and two things I used to usually excel at was running and martial arts. And this is probably because I'm quite a tall individual, but I'm also quite lean and powerful. So I've learned through years and years of trial and error what sort of works in my body better than other sports. And yeah, so the first martial art that I actually did, I was probably about maybe about 9 or 10 or 11, and there was a karate club opened up on my local community center, so I decided to join. And basically from there I was able to basically discover my natural ability in martial arts. I just excelled in karate, you know, just picked it up so naturally, didn't find it difficult because I'm quite long limbs and lean and sort of low body fat and quite flexible. There was really very little limitations to what I could do, so I basically really enjoyed it and got into it. Unfortunately, the club shut down, so once the club shut down, that was it, that was game over. But it was a good insight into my martial arts ability. It was a realization that, oh, there was something I was really good at, and basically it was just a shame that the club actually ended. So not only that, but I really loved, me and my friends used to love the thing WWE wrestling, and even though it's technically not formal martial arts, there is a combat element to it. So me and my mates used to love to do wrestling and stuff, and I was a really big fan of WWE, the Attitude Era. Still, to my opinion, that is the best WWE era ever. The Attitude Era, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, The Big Show, Kane, Undertaker, D-Generation X, all of those guys. But yeah, I loved that there. So I was, even though that wasn't technically a martial art, there was a lot of crossover, let's say. But then eventually I met this guy who was like, so in my early teens, I was met this guy who was an All-Ireland boxing champion who used to live in my town. And this guy was just like undefeated. He never really lost. He never lost a fight ever, and he was always just, every single year, him and his younger brother used to just win titles, All-Ireland titles over and over again. And eventually, you know, I started training with him, and I went to Guildford Boxing Club. Again, I only went for a couple of months, and then eventually his dad, who was one of his coaches, decided to open up their own club in the hometown where I was from. And from there, I was basically able to take up boxing. But fate kicked in, and what happened is I ended up getting an injury in my hand, my right hand, in this specific knuckle here. And what happened is basically from there I was no longer able to train because my hand swelled up. It was like it was a bone injury, so it wasn't even like a muscular injury. The bone was actually damaged, so my hand swelled up completely, and it was literally like a boxing glove. And from there, I was basically I wasn't able to train again because I had more or less wrecked my hand. And so yeah, fear kicked in again. It seems that striking wasn't my thing, you know. Fear was just saying, "No, striking's not for you." So again, this was around about when I was 14 years old. So I gave up boxing, and pretty much didn't really do martial arts again until I was like 18 or 17 and 18, and this is when I joined the military. So I was actually in the British Army, in the Royal Logistics Corps, and from there we did little bits of martial arts which called combatives training. So combatives training is like street self-defense. We learned how to do various holding techniques and basic weapons techniques and crowd control and stuff like that there, and how to sort of like defend yourself. But obviously within the military you're also learning things like weapons. So you're learning actual guns, how to use guns. So you could argue that that's part of martial arts, and also learning being a soldier, you know, that whole process of going through a year in the British Army, that was contributing to my, I guess, my martial arts history to a large extent. And that's another video in itself. I'll have to talk about my experience when I was in the army at a later date. So yeah, then after that there, I left the army, came back to my hometown, went back to school, studied it was a National Diploma in Sports Studies. And from there I noticed in my local leisure centre a martial arts club had opened. And one of my lifetime goals was to get a black belt in some martial art. So this was my opportunity. It was a traditional Jiu-Jitsu club, and it was on a Friday night. I basically joined 3 weeks after the club opened, and I was super committed to this training. And I was actually losing interest in training in the gym, and even at that stage I was beginning to question, you know, what's the point of going to the gym? It's so boring. When I was about 21 years old. And once I got into martial arts, my motivation changed, and I realized that going to the gym, I would train in the gym to get me better at martial arts. So I was much more motivated to go to the gym and train on a regular basis. But so yeah, I stuck at traditional Jiu-Jitsu for about 8.5 years, and I was able to get my 2nd degree black belt in Japanese traditional Jiu-Jitsu as part of the World Jiu-Jitsu Federation in Ireland. And it's a really, really good association. I think it's the biggest, the largest branch of the WJJF in the world, meaning in Northern Ireland we have the most students compared to any other country in the world. We have about 3,000 WJJF students in Ireland, so it's a really big, well-run organisation or martial arts institution in Northern Ireland. So I stuck at that for about 8.5 years. It took me 5 years to get my black belt, and I also took on like a coaching role, and I eventually became like a qualified club coach. Just after I received my 1st degree black belt, I was actually offered a martial arts club, because there was a martial arts club that was open in the 2 towns over from where I lived, and basically the instructor who was running it couldn't really be bothered to do it anymore. They didn't really have the time, so it was just like perfect timing. I just got my level 2 in Jiu-Jitsu coaching, and I got my black belt. So I ended up randomly just saying, yes, I'm gonna take on this martial arts club. And it was originally a kickboxing / MMA club, and I converted it to a freestyle jiu-jitsu club. So freestyle jiu-jitsu is basically just anything goes, really. It's just striking, grappling, submission wrestling, self-defense, with a sort of sport element to it, as opposed to self-defense, predominantly sport orientated. And I ran that club for about 1.5 years, and I'm not gonna lie, it was really, really difficult. It was a struggle, because I wasn't fully competent as a coach in my ability, because I had weaknesses in my game. You know, I was pretty good at striking, you know, probably around about a semi-professional level in striking, like kickboxing. But my grappling wasn't great. It was very fundamental, very basic. So I felt that I struggled to teach a lot of the submission grappling moves and stuff like that. And that's what motivated me to then really seek out Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, because if you know MMA, mixed martial arts, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is kind of the martial art that was, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu was the art that originally won the first couple of tournaments of MMA, so it became super popular, and obviously it proved to be super effective in the most difficult, essentially, martial arts test in the world. So yes, I began dipping into the study of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I had a problem finding a good club because it was very rare in the country where I live. There's not a lot of clubs. It's becoming a lot more popular now. There's actually a club in my hometown, but I don't go to it. I go to a club in Belfast. So even back then, I knew about the club that I'm going to now, which is called Gracie Barra NI, or Gracie Barra Belfast. And I used to cycle to the train station. I used to get a train, which was an hour and a half, and I used to get a bus to a leisure centre just to do a 1 hour jiu-jitsu session, and then I would get a bus back to the train station, I would get the train, and then I would cycle home. So that's how difficult it was for me to go and learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu so that I could teach my students, but I was committed to actually learning that martial art so I could pass it on to my students. But it proved to be too difficult, and I sort of went on and off. I stopped the club for a while, went back to traditional Jiu-Jitsu, and then I kind of wanted to get back into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I did it again for another 3 months and then stopped. And then after that, so this is around about 2000 and I would say 2015 I stopped, 2016 I stopped Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then after that I stopped traditional Jiu-Jitsu. So this was 8.5 years deep in the martial arts training. And I forgot to mention, eventually what I did is I actually gave up my own martial arts club because I just didn't feel like I was ready to be teaching the club. Now, in many respects, it was I probably could have just continued coaching, because obviously as you're still coaching, you're going to become a better and better coach. But I wanted to be a better martial artist than myself. I didn't feel like I was good enough as a martial artist, and so there's obviously a time issue. What do I dedicate my time to? Do I dedicate my time to training, or do I dedicate my time to coaching? And sort of my logic was I should dedicate my time to training. So eventually I stopped my own martial arts club and then threw myself back into traditional Jiu-Jitsu. But it became kind of repetitive. In the higher dans, second dan and third dan, there was a lot of katas, so these sort of forms and patterns, and basically there was a lot of weapons techniques that I wasn't really interested in, and eventually I just got bored. I just got bored of traditional Jiu-Jitsu, and I still really like the art. I think it is an amazing martial art, but for me, what I was looking to achieve, I knew there was a big hole in my game, specifically grappling, so me doing a lot of these weapons techniques wasn't really, I didn't really feel like I was conditioning or strengthening my weaknesses. I was working on sort of arbitrary techniques that weren't really useful, and there were traditional weapons. So you're talking like the samurai sword and these big staffs and nunchucks and stuff like this. These are not even modern weapons, so they don't even relate to modern fighting at all. So yeah, basically, around about 2016, 3/4 of the way through my third dan, I dropped out of traditional Jiu-Jitsu. And what I did is I reoriented myself towards running. And I did running for about a year and a half. And if you look at my early vlog videos, so you go right to the bottom, essentially the first set of vlogs that I started to produce were geared towards my running videos, my 12 races in 12 months videos. But But eventually I've got really bored of running because it's too repetitive, doing the same sport. You see, Jiu-Jitsu and martial arts is really fun because you're constantly learning new things. When you're doing something like running, it's one sport and it's one physical activity, and you're just doing it repetitively, and it just wasn't enjoyable. It became monotonous and kind of boring, and I was basically not looking forward to workouts, so I dropped out of that eventually as well. But then just got back to normal standard training, took a couple of years off, finished off my degree, my HND in sports science, and then went to Loughborough University to finish off my 1-year top-up in sports science with management. So I had time to ruminate. I had about 2 or 3 years to ruminate, and I was like, okay, so running's boring, martial arts is enjoyable, I want to get back into martial arts, but I don't want to get back into traditional jiu-jitsu because it's not really helping me improve the specific techniques that I want to improve upon. So I decided that I was going to do one of two martial arts, either judo or Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Now these, I felt as if I got a black belt in judo or if I got a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, that this would essentially fill in that major weakness within my game, which was my grappling game. And so that's basically what I did, and I set a goal this year, 2019, to get back into martial arts. And originally I was looking for a judo club because I felt that judo was the easiest transition from traditional jiu-jitsu to judo because there's a lot of similarities. And judo originated with traditional jiu-jitsu, and in traditional jiu-jitsu basically I had learned over 50 different throwing techniques. So all I had to do in judo was learn how to do grips and learn how to do off balancing, and then basically I could have 50 throws at my disposal to use to basically make my overall fight game better. But another moment of fate kicked in, and that was work. So my job, unfortunately, my work schedule varies every single week. So the judo club that I found was 2 times over from where I live, and it was only on twice a week for like 1.5 hours. So these were fixed training days. And then on occasions, I was only getting like 3 sessions a month on average. And this just wasn't enough training. I was looking at least a minimum of 2 sessions per week. And I wasn't able to get that, unfortunately. So that's when I remembered Gracie Barra Belfast, because this is a professional club and it has a full range of classes. So for example, it has basically fundamentals classes on 6 days a week in the afternoon, and then there's an open mat session, so there's 2 hours between 12 and 2, 6 days of the week. And then in the evening there's fundamentals, there's also advanced classes, and there's also no-gi and strike classes and conditioning classes. So it's a full-time club. It's on twice a day, basically every single day. So this suited me because my work schedule varies. So for example, if I'm working late in the evening, then I can go to an afternoon class. Or if I'm working in an afternoon class, or if I'm working in the morning or the afternoon, then I can go to an evening class. So I'm always able to get my 3 sessions in, and this is basically where I'm at right now. So yeah, I'm in Gracie Barra, Belfast, and I've essentially been at this club now for the last 2 months, and I am loving it. It's really good. As you can see, well, you could have seen I was absolutely drenched. I was just completed a 2-hour session of grappling, 1 hour of technical training, so this is learning a self-defense technique, and then learning two ground fighting techniques, and then after you do an hour of what's called open mat. So open mat is basically you do whatever you want. You can usually spar, or you can drill certain techniques that you're not really good at. Hold on, so we are on motorway. So yeah, that's basically what I'm coming home from now, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Yeah, like I said, I'm really loving it. It's really, really good class. It's probably the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu club in all of Ireland, no doubt, and it's just it's such a professional club, and there's such a huge amount of students. There's literally about, I don't even know, there's probably about 100 students. That class I was in today probably had about 30 students there on the mats, and it's a really, really strong, like, sort of it's a very, very positive atmosphere. It's not like there's a bit of seriousness, but everybody helps each other out, and it's really, really good. It's very challenging. You can see my ear is already starting to get a little bit battered on the side. I've only been there 2 months and I'm already starting to get a little bit of cauliflower ear. So I'm consistently doing, the way that I'm training now is basically I do yoga every single morning, and that helps with my mobility and stability, and that translates into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu perfectly. And then I'm doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu about 3 times a week, and I do a technical training class, so fundamentals class, and then I do a 1 hour sparring class. And I usually do I like to do 2 spars, 2 bouts of 6 minutes, and then I take a rest. 2 bouts of 6 minutes, and then I take a rest. 2 bouts of 6 minutes, and then I usually go home. And that's basically an overview of my martial arts history. So I'm a white belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm striving towards, the next belt is a blue belt, and it can take anywhere between 1 to 2 years to get a blue belt, as long as you're consistent, and as long as you're some of the main variables are basically attendance to class. If you can beat all of the people within your belt grade, so if I start to submit all of the white belts and none of the white belts can submit me, it's kind of an indication that I need to move up. And also if I enter tournaments and I'm winning my tournaments, I have no intention of entering any tournaments just yet. I'm literally getting used to the conditioning aspect of it, because I'm still training my body to get used to essentially the intensity of the workouts, and sort of getting used to going to training, recovering, going to training, recovering, going to training, recovering. And then once I start to get the conditioning right, then I'm going to start to double down and triple down on my technical ability. And from there, then I'll start to enter into tournaments. Maybe towards the end of this year, 2019, I might enter my first one, or maybe a little bit earlier. I'll see how I go over the next sort of 3 to 6 months, and then I'll decide. But definitely, I reckon I'll be pretty active in tournaments next year in 2020. I think at least at a white belt level, I'll start to enter most of the tournaments that are on around the country. So yeah, that's basically an overview of my martial arts history. It's a pretty, and there's more to it. I've dabbled in other styles of martial arts through my life. I've kind of just dipped my toes into other styles of martial arts. I've done a little bit of Taekwondo for like a month. I've done a little bit of combatives training. I did combatives training for about 6 months when I was in the middle of doing traditional Jiu-Jitsu. So all in all, I've done about 8 or 9 different styles of martial arts, but mostly traditional Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, and now Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is probably my most second, the art that I've done second most in my life. And yeah, it's just really, it's something that I just think it's really important to know how to basically handle yourself, and also know how to control other people, because if somebody gets out of control, you know how to control them. And one of the sort of cool things about learning martial arts is that the better and better you get at martial arts, the more and more confident you become. And as you get more and more confident, your arrogance or your ego actually dissolves. It disappears, because when you first start martial arts, you want to show off. But the better and better and better and better you get, because you know you're getting so competent at the style, you know that you're good. And when you know that you're good, you have less to prove to others. and because you've less to prove to others, you end up becoming more humble as a response. So it's a good way to actually, it's kind of paradoxical, you know, the sort of better and better you get at martial arts and the more and more lethal you become as a fighter, the more and more humble you become as a person, because you realize that I don't have to prove myself to other people, and you have much more control. That if somebody tried to start on you, you know in yourself that you can handle yourself. So you actually are more inclined to not get into a fight with them because you know you could beat them. And that's where you actually end up humbling yourself before them, and you say, nah, I'm not even gonna bother with you. I'm not even gonna give you the time of day, because I could basically do what I want with you and there's nothing really you can do about it. So I'm just going to leave you and your anger problems to yourself. So it's just something, it's something you can always grow, and it's the thing with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and traditional Jiu-Jitsu and all of these different styles. It's all about personal growth. It's all about expanding your knowledge base and becoming like a more confident, more competent individual. There's no point just sitting on the sidelines of life and just kind of like letting life happen. You know, it sort of pisses me off a lot when I see a lot of my friends who get really deeply indulged into like things like gaming, where they're sort of like spend way too much time just playing computer games. And I just think to myself, why the hell don't you just go out and actually do the sport? Like, if someone really likes playing a football computer game like Pro Evolution or FIFA, imagine if you put 1 to 2 hours training into playing the sport of football. In like a couple of years, you'd be like a semi-professional like footballer. And I kind of see that with martial arts. I don't like to like do superficial things like play a game. Like, get out there in the world and actually like try something and do something with your body and with your life. And for me, martial arts is one of those things. Like, martial arts is a game for me. It's not, I don't take it serious. It's something where it's something that I enjoy to do. It's something that challenges me. It's something that constantly is a new opportunity for me to learn and grow. So that's why I constantly like doing it. It's just something that I highly recommend. I often find it weird, like talking to guys. I ask guys, have you ever done any martial arts before in your life? And they say no. And I kind of just feel like, I feel sorry for them, because I just think, you know, how have you not done any martial arts in your life? You could be in your 20s and 30s and you don't even know how to punch and kick, and you don't even know how to do a little bit of wrestling. It's like, you're selling yourself short. It's really important to sort of do these things. I think it's quite natural for humans to learn how to fight, and it's not about being aggressive, like learning how to beat people up. Remember, when you're training with your opponent, they're learning how to fight and you're learning how to fight, so you're like growing each other. You know, they're becoming a better, stronger, more confident, more competent individual, as are you. And that's the whole process. It's about getting better and sort of making the kind of the best use out of your body. So that is my little rant about my sort of life in martial arts. So yeah, this is my first little drive and vlog. It actually worked out. My vlog camera didn't fall off the window screen. It's on one of those little stand things. Or it's one of those little suction pads that sticks to the window. But yeah guys, so yes, my name is Jason Ankin. This is my vlog channel, and thank you for watching. So yeah, if you have any comments about sort of sports and stuff, or challenges that you like to do in your life, you can post them down below and we can start a little healthy dialogue between each other. And also, yeah, you can check me out on Instagram, jason.ankin, and I will see you next time, guys. So yeah, this is my vlog channel, and I will see you next time. Bye.